Hey, yo, what's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of our interview series here on We Create Music TV. And today, man, or tonight, I always say today. I don't know, I guess it's still today or tonight. I got my man, Chris Taylor with us. Y'all give it up for Chris Taylor. What's good, brother?
What's going on, B? How are you feeling tonight?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good, yeah. It was like 54 degrees here in Atlanta.
I love it.
Good, man. Yeah.
I love it.
I love I love it. And where every other place is cold, we still get, the 50 degree weather.
Yeah,
But
it was wild
yeah.
because go from snowing, ice, all right, cool, load up to it's nice outside again.
Oh, that's the day after it snowed, it was like 61. I was like, yeah, this is Atlanta.
It's crazy, man.
It's Atlanta.
It's crazy, but
that's right.
That's what we love Atlanta for.
That's why we love it. That's why we do what we do. So, man, I appreciate you being here. So, as with every interview, how I started off, tell us about yourself, introduce yourself to those who are watching, and also talk about how did you get into this whole music world. I'm always interested in finding out how people started in this whole music thing.
Yeah. So my name's Chris Taylor, artist name Dope Chris Taylor, and music it's an interesting journey for me. So to give background, my mom, and shout out to Madre because I know she's watching, but my mom will always come up with these clever lines. Like anytime I was growing up, it was she'd be like, hey, know what I mean, Jelly Bean, or hey, are you ready, Freddy, or different things like that, and I was always amused by that. And so kind of growing up as well, some of her favorite artists that she enjoyed was Biggie. She was a huge Biggie fan. So it's kind of natural that it's just kind of passed down on to me. And then but I didn't start rapping until believe it or not, maybe 4 years ago. That whole journey between when I was little and then was kind of occupied by me being a drummer. I would travel across the southeast being a part of a drum corps, pretty much professional marching band. Yeah, doing different things. And after my tenure with drumming, I was just no, let me try this rapping thing because it's always been in my
getting your
heart.
Nick Cannon.
So yeah. Hey, look, Nick Cannon, trying to be like Nick Cannon. Shout out to Nick.
Getting your Nick Cannon on.
Look, hey, I was doing everything. I was rapping.
Hey.
Look, I'm not wilding out right now, but hey, life is good.
Hey, you ain't there, man. I'm about to say something.
Yes, sir. I love it.
Well, I don't know. I'm glad. But yeah. Okay, so you born and raised in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Swanee?
Yeah, to be more Swanee, Georgia.
Yeah.
Up in Gwinnett, where the meat goes from.
Where the meat goes from. Okay, that's what's good. So it's funny your mom had all of those different sayings as you were growing up. I mean, what did you find intriguing about those sayings themselves?
So with those sayings, it makes me laugh how easy it kind of sticks in my mind because I wouldn't think a simple rhyme where it's just like you said, know what I mean, Jelly Bean. There's nothing witty or wordy about that rhyme. It's just it just flows so naturally. So eventually kind of just started to get into my vocabulary where just I'll just say stuff even if it doesn't make sense, I used to say, hey, if you're hot, or awesome. Just little small phrases, cause that's kind of how she got into my mind. So I just kind of improvised that and kind of just started doing that. My coworkers at my day job, they will copy a lot of my phrases, and but at the same time, it just it kind of just it shows me that, man, what that effect that my mom did to me, I have the ability to kind of do that effect to other people, and that's kind of the beauty of this music thing,
That's right. Yeah, I think that's why I love music in that way, because it has the ability to impact others, whether in a positive way or a negative way. It impacts someone, and it's going to impact people at different levels, right? So one song may really touch a person, where another song may touch a person okay, that's cool. I like what he's saying, but another that one song may, while I was going through this and that really touched me. I'm gonna tell you, like, one of my favorite songs is J.
Yeah,
Cole's
tell me.
"Love Yours." I mean, J. Cole's my look, Chris. Everybody
No,
knows
we
when
can talk
they
about
watch.
J. Cole for the rest
So
of the hour.
when they watch this show, they all know that J. Cole is my favorite rapper right now. Right, I've had favorite rappers throughout the career, my life, but right now, J. Cole. Well, he's one of them. I ain't gonna say he's my favorite, probably though.
Yeah.
But he's in my top five. So like Method Man is in my top five. He will always be in my top five. But J. Cole's song "Love Yours," when I first heard it, I was like, wow. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Like, because when you really think about it, we are comparative people.
Yeah.
We compare ourselves to other people. And maybe there was a time in my life, and that was unknown to me, that I was kind of struggling with that identity going. And actually there was a time that I was going through that identity, comparing myself to other people, whether it was friends, whatever the case. But that song hit me and I was like, no such thing as a life that's better than yours. Wow. Okay. Okay. Let me love this
With the
life. Let me love
wisdom.
what I got. Let me love but you're right. I could talk about J. Cole for, a
Yo,
whole
you and
hour.
me both. You and me both.
But yeah, and so music is that way. It touches people on many different levels. I think one of the interesting things that you just said was that your mom influenced you. You have the ability to influence others, and you've seen that influence, in your day-to-day job. You know, my background is in organizational development and leadership training. So I've trained, oh gosh, 50,000 plus people in my years of training. And yeah, I mean, I have always taught people that you will take on the behaviors and personalities of the people that you hang around the most. Without even knowing it,
Yes.
you'll start to pick up those mannerisms that everybody else or people, whether they're good or bad, that they display. You will start to pick them up without even knowing it until somebody points it out. Yeah,
It's like
I've
the
had,
average of the
yeah,
5 people you spend time with.
yeah, that's right, that's right. So the people that you spend time with, you're going to be influenced by those. Which anybody watching, it's always good to have people who are around you that help build you up, right? Yeah, you got to figure out. Yeah, don't. Yeah, but anyway. But so your mom influenced you, and you influenced others. So kind of talk about your background when it comes to music, right? So you were doing percussion. So how did that kind of influence you as an artist?
Yeah. So one of the best things that I think that could have happened to me when I started percussion was seeing how a whole band has a responsibility where it's no longer like, oh, hey, I gotta make sure I play drums loud and do cool little stick tricks because the show's about me. It's like, hey, sometimes I gotta like, play piano because hey, this is not about me. So like, I kind of love that I kind of went through that percussion stage with like overall band because like going down to like making music, hey, it's no longer like, oh, I need to like out rap everybody or outwit. Sometimes it's like, hey, this beat is the feature. Like one of my favorite starting on a tangent, but like one of my favorite live performances I like to listen to is Luther Vandross
What you know about
Superstar.
Luther? What you know
Look,
about
hey
Luther
man, look,
Superstar? What
hey,
you know
look,
about?
you talk about
What you
J.
know
Cole for an
about
hour. We can talk
Luther? What
about
you know
Luther,
about
we can talk
Luther?
about Lenny.
But I mean,
Ooh.
Big Luther, little Luther. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, Big Luther. Oh, big, look, hey, big,
hey,
hey, look, hey, look, let me hold you tight. If only for one night.
that's
Look,
right.
hey, I can
That's
keep you
right.
near.
That's
Look, but
right.
the one of the beautiful things that he did, like letting a piano have a solo moment, and like I just
Mm.
fell in love with that. Where everybody knows Luther's voice is amazing, no questions asked. But
Mm-hmm.
to let other instruments have that quote unquote vocal or a verse, like that's how I always kind of like to approach my music, where it's just like, hey, there's sometimes it's like, hey, you might need a little bit more like aggressive Chris, or hey, you might be a lot more melodic Chris, or hey, you might
Mm-hmm.
just need to hear I might just have to give a space for the instrumental to breathe because the instrumental itself got a voice and that voice need to be heard. So
That's right.
yeah, that's how I kind of like that percussion background like that taught me like a lot as far as like everything got a time and place. Sometimes you don't need to show your best features all the time. you need to have that time like set aside and set up for the best features to come.
That's right. You know, I love that. I love everything has their place. Every instrument has their place. Every sound needs to fit together, right? And so, you know, I don't know if you saw that post. I think somebody posted it up on Instagram saying, "So what if the 808 is out of tune? You know, who cares? Let them make music." And it's like,
Yeah,
but realistically, the 808 needs to be in tune because it
yeah,
fits within the construct of the system of sounds that are being created to, you know, really exude whatever that musical expression is. And if there's things that are out of whack in that, then of course those things don't sound, you know, you can pick it up because you would listen to a song, you'd be like, wait, what's that?
oh, it sounds like it's off.
Like, why is that off? Like, that sounds weird. Like, and it kind of just takes the whole mood out of it. And you're just like, okay, well, no, I mean, there's a cohesiveness when it comes to music. Everything lives and breathes together. You know what I mean? Like, it just there's a type of uniformity when it comes to those sounds. You know, I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day. He was like, you know, doing this whole music thing and working with the things the tools that he's working with, he said it made him realize that he needed to take a step back and think more about the philosophy of why he's creating this song, sounds that are supposed to go together, the feeling that he wants to generate. So he's taking his time and composing and creating, you know, that musical composition. Well, a lot of times most people probably don't. They just put, oh, I got an 808, I got a hi-hat, some snares, some drums, you know, I got a song. But
Yeah.
so for you, what's kind of like your philosophy, your motivation behind creating the music that you create? What inspires you?
Ooh, that is a great question. I'm excited. So, it kind of going back to like J. Cole, like there's a lot of like people that influence. Like, if I had to name like some of my like most influential like rap artists, were just like cool. J. Cole be one of them. I always love and like admire like Biggie storytelling. One of my favorites for a long time was Andre 3000 because I thought it was super rare. It was I want to say the art of storytelling part four. Uh, that Andre was just like, hey, you know, if this girl's in a committed relationship and she's trying to like cheat with me, I'm just gonna like kick her out because I don't want nothing to do with her. And I thought that was so amazing because like, you know, most rappers they will brag about, yeah, I got your girl, yada yada. And Andre's like,
Hmm.
no, like I don't want to be a part of that. And like he always like Andre's always there to be different, but like stuff like that, I was just like, all right, cool. I kind of gravitate to like, hey, what feels natural? Like, what's a dream? Like, do nobody, for lack of a better word, nobody dreams about like having like, oh yeah, I got all the women. This is how I'm gonna grow to like the day
Hmm.
I was born until the day I die. Like, no, we dream about having a family. We dream about different things like that. So like, kind of seeing like, hey, here's the route that I'm trying to focus on. Like, be better. Like, those are some of the artists like I would try to. Now, granted, yes, I would be the first to say if somebody goes to my playlist to be like, well, Chris, you got so and so on there. I'd be like, yeah, you got me. But like, I'm not gonna lie to people because I already know somebody's gonna call me. I'll be like, well, Chris, you said this song the other day. But yeah. Hey, because I know
Hey,
somebody's gonna be in the comments and be like, yeah, I see you, Chris.
we
But
all got those songs that kind of like in our like. I still listen to that though,
yeah,
but right,
yeah. I mean, you know, I listen to it, but I don't live it, but you know, I listen to it.
right.
But but kind of going back to like what you said, like there are songs where like I can have them repeat and just kind of get like lost in the lyrics because yeah, like some of the things that you kind of like take for granted, where it's just like oh, kind of going back to like you said, like love yours. It's just like man, it's truly amazing to kind of look back and be like yeah, like this artist. I feel like he's normal. I feel like I can have a conversation with him. I won't necessarily be starstruck. And I think that's the artist where I kind of aspire to be. Where like I if somebody was like, "Hey Chris, you know, let's take a picture," I'd be like, "Yeah, cool. Like we could take a picture. I don't want to say no to a picture, but I would rather just kind of kick it with you and just have a conversation, get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, I feel like, hey, as much as people say, hey, there's some artists that change their lives, I also believe the same thing can be true, vice versa. Hey, there might be somebody that changed my life, and I'll be like, wow, thank you. So
Mm.
yeah, that's kind of who I kind of aspire to be as like a artist.
Yeah, that's dope. Chris. No, I was about to say, that's dope, Chris. Now that I mean
You
that
know, a
is
little
dope. I
bit,
mean, just a little bit. I mean
a
that
little bit, you know.
that's a very I would say that that's a dope way of looking at it. Is to be that inspiration to others. I will tell you, if I meet J. Cole, I'm going to be starstruck for that little bit of, for this moment, and just for that moment, and be like, "Yeah, what's good, bro?
I
Hey,
love
nice
it.
to meet you." Like, yeah, for that moment, it's gonna happen. But
Oh yeah, no, I understand.
but then maybe like 2 seconds after that, we're like, "Okay, cool. Hey, what's good? Let's dap it up." But
Yeah.
I think one of the things that you said, and I think this is something that. So let me phrase it this way: music is cyclical, right? At least I believe music is cyclical. It
Hmm.
starts off here, and it may be, this way for 5 years. Then it goes over here, and that way for 5 years, and then this way for 5 years, and then it comes back. So it's kind of like this cycle where we start off
Yeah.
with lyricism, and then it goes kind of to here, and then the mumble, and most people realize, oh, you know what? Let's get back to some real lyrics. And I think for me, and probably for others as well, because you said it, you said you listen to the lyrics, and the lyrics have meaning. And a lot of times when you listen to music today, I think the meaning in the lyrics are gone. I mean, if you think about it right now, I mean, granted, I will tell you, and as anybody, I'm not telling how I'm a what type of baby I am, but right. Let's say I'm back in the day baby. I'm a back in the day baby, right?
Yeah.
But we had lyricism. We had a couple of outliers who would do some other different type of things, but we had real lyricism. And not a lot of the rappers back in the time that I was listening to rap music were talking about, you know, cars and girls and money, and I mean that wasn't like the whole thing. A lot of them were really talking about delivering a real message to people. And then it gravitated towards that kind of in the 2000s around there somewhere, where and
Yeah.
now we got into the mumble rap, and now we're kind of making our way back to lyricism. But I
Yeah,
think
like
that's something
it's
that's
a
missing.
cycle.
Is It's a cycle, but I think that's something that's missing is because you find very few artists that you can really gravitate towards that really touch you from a lyrical perspective. Not just the flow, but the content of what they're
Yeah.
saying. The
It's funny
content
you
of
say
what they're
that
saying.
because me and my friend few we was actually talking about that this weekend actually where we think like we definitely believe it going in a cycle, and I think right now like this cycle like we're at lyricism, but I think what people are yearning for is like that emotion, like that being relatable, where it's just like
Yes,
not everybody can relate to having five cars. I
I
can't
can't.
relate to having five
I
cars.
just I can, I got two. One for me, one for the wife. I can't. Yeah.
Look, hey, like, but the cool part, but on the flip side, everybody can relate to like, oh, I have insecurities I'm dealing with, or like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I might have some family issues I'm dealing with, or hey, I got the butterflies for this woman who I'm attracted to, but I don't know how to
Right.
say I'm attracted to
Mm.
you without
Mm-hmm.
falling on my face and already planning our future out together. And I haven't even like asked you what your name is. Like, I feel like everybody kind of like have like those feelings. So like, I think
Mm.
now. I think people are kind of yearning for that, and I think we're slowly kind of getting to like, all right, cool, we got the lyricism, but now let's add those emotions that people can relate to. Like, I feel like we're aiming towards that, and
Mm.
I think I feel good. I feel good with where we're going right now because there's a lot of soulful artists out there that is
Right.
yeah, setting the trend.
Right. So what do you think is missing to push that along, to push us into that next era of music?
That's a great question. I think me personally, I think kind of being daring to be different as like the trendsetter. Like I know. So when I started like rapping and like in between projects, I would do like this like 1 minute rap video called like Therapy Thursday. And like what I would touch on like a lot of vulnerability. I try to make sure like I share my journey with like therapy with people because for me, like before I decided to go to therapy, like I was just like, all right, cool. I was kind of like you talking about, I was competing with myself against everybody else. I was trying to figure out, hey, let me be the best version of Chris in their eyes instead of trying to figure out who is Chris. So I went to therapy, kind of figured that out. That's actually kind of how I figure out how I want to be a rapper. That's another fun fact. But yeah. So I started like doing these therapy Thursdays, kind of just like talking to people and kind of like venting, and then kind of just being vulnerable, being the poster boy for the lack of better words. Like, granted, yes, there's bigger artists with bigger platforms than me, but I do believe like, hey, if we talk about like more vulnerability, like, hey, it's okay to say somebody hurt you. Like, we don't have to be the hardest guy out there. Like,
Mm,
I think more people starting to show that vulnerability, I think will have like a true change in waves. Like everybody can be that guy, but at
mm,
the end of the day, a lot of people spent the time trying to get to that be that guy versus like always being that guy. You can't be at the top forever.
mm. You always can't be at the top forever. So, okay, so let me go back and ask you this then, based upon what you just said.
Yeah.
Do you think that the culture of hip hop being centered around being braggadocious has somehow led to people not sharing those vulnerabilities with through their music, right? I mean, when you think about hip
Oh,
hop back in the day,
absolutely.
hip hop was crazy braggadocious, right? I mean, kind of like you said,
Yeah.
I got your girl, I took your car, I robbed your mom's, you know what I mean? Like, and like, 'cause I know it's gonna be a long question, but because
No,
today we
good.
hear
Go for
about,
it.
because today we hear a lot about mental health in the music, but back then we didn't hear about mental health in music. There was nobody talking about mental health in music, and so I'm curious to know if mental health awareness now in music has been brought forth because people back in the day weren't really talking about it. They weren't really trying to be vulnerable and express themselves that way because they were trying to be the hardest dude on the block. And I mean, that was just music back then, especially rap.
Yeah, like so I love the layers of that question. So I'll start with like I do believe like because back in the day there was you only had like limited access to what you had. So like either you got limited access like, oh, I'm listening to the radio, I'm listening to CDs I have, or I'm listening to like, hey, what my friends have. So like whatever region you was kind of in, hey, that's kind of like the rap you kind of got.
That's right.
So
Yep.
like now kind of like looking like nowadays like I don't have to be in Chicago to listen to drill music or like I can like listen to like UK rap. I love that. But I do believe like back in the day like hey that braggadocious behavior kind of just like almost kind of set people up for this like false persona where like they don't put in the work to like be the person who they want to be. It's just like hey like look
Mm,
at I mean like just micro fame if you will like all right,
right.
cool. I can take pictures beside this like Lamborghini, or hey, I can show you I'm at the Flyers Club or whatever, which is cool. Like, hey, if that's your life, cool. No harm,
Right.
no foul. I'm not like I said, like somebody's gonna catch me in the spot. Be like, Chris, you said this. I'm just like, look, I get it. I'm human. I'm not look. But
We all
on the
here.
flip
Hey.
side, we're all human. But on the flip side, it's just like I do believe like there are some people that don't put in the work to like or they might say like, "Hey, this is the highlights," and they don't work on the behind the scenes. Like, yeah, it's great to say like, "Oh, I got like I'm in the hottest club right now," but hey, are your bills paid? Do you have a
Mm,
good connection with your family?
mm,
Are you a good friend? Like, I think people kind of like ignore those factors because of that braggadocious was just like, "Yeah, I got the money," but you're getting a
mm-hmm,
divorce. You don't see your children every day.
mm,
Like, and that kind of go like that to me. That kind of ties back to what what we talked about was just like yeah like aiming to have that quote unquote like family life. Like I said, because I'll speak for me. Like, yeah, like my aim is to have a family, this and that. So like, I try to be conscious of, hey, if my kids kind of like go back and like listen to like daddy's raps, it's like, hey, daddy, well, you said you gonna have 20 women. Where's the other 19? And be like, and then the mom gonna be like, yeah, where is the other
Yeah, when
19?
I'm
And we like,
19.
all right, cool, daddy lied. Let's just get it out the way.
Mm,
But like, yeah, but like I think it's just like it's just one of those things where I think people do kind of forget. Like obviously, like I say, like life happens. Also at the same time, I will say like, hey, if that's the life you want to live, hey, I'm not gonna judge you. With that being said, it's just not the life for me. So like, I try to make sure, at least within my like rhymes and lyrics, it's like, hey, let me kind of expose like, not expose, but like show the life I want to live. Let me show the hiccups that I'm learning along the way, because I do believe like, contrary to being braggadocious, I do believe like, hey, you need to show people mistakes. Like that's why I kind of love. I keep going back to love yours. But like when J. Cole, was like, hey, the good news is, you made a
you
long
went
way.
the
The bad
wrong
news
way.
is you went to,
You
yeah, like
came a
hey,
long way.
that's
That's
real.
right. That's so
That's real.
real.
Or like, because, I say this all the time. So like when J. Cole was like, hey, being broke was better. I don't think people
Hmm.
realize like, yo, money don't fix money problems. Like it
Oh
doesn't.
man,
Like it doesn't.
man.
Like I try to tell people like, yeah, like I'm sure if you had like $100,000 today, like yeah, there will be some issues. I'm not trying to discredit that, but yeah, there's gonna be some new issues kind of going back to Biggie. More money, no problems. Like there's a lot of things that come with more resources, more time, which is like,
Hmm.
oh, so yeah, like I do believe like all that to kind of go around back to the original, like yeah, like I do believe that some parts of raps being braggadocious kind of put us in the state where we're kind of divided between being a quote unquote man versus like, hey, being who you are. Because
Mm.
sometimes since everybody's being the man, hey, that might just be the norm, and you being
Hmm.
you just gonna attract attention just because you're different.
Right. Right. Wow. Wow. Yeah. There was a lot. Oh my gosh, there was a lot in there. I would even say, back in the day, a lot of people probably thought that they were being a man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah.
because, see, we're gonna get into,
No, keep going,
whew,
B. We're here for an hour.
wow. I mean, here's the reality, and it's a sad reality. But if you go back and look at hip hop documentaries on hip hoppers, can we call them hip hoppers? Rappers, right? As they were being involved in this whole music scene and kind of paving the way for artists such as yourself. Think about their environment. Think about the environment they were growing up in. A lot of them grew up in single parent homes. It was the mom
Oh
taking
yeah.
care of them. My mom took care of me when I was growing up, right? People know that I tell the story. My father wasn't there, so my mom. Eventually, I had a stepfather who came into there, but my mom pretty much raised me. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And
Yeah.
so, you hear it. You got to be the man. You're the man of the house now. Okay, I'm 14. How am I going to be the man of the house? I don't have a job. I can't work because the labor law pretty much says in America I can't work until I'm a certain age. So, I see my boys out there on the corner. They're getting money though. So I'm gonna go get some money too because I'm the man.
Yeah.
Or what the
Like
definition, right? That definition of a man that nobody really clearly define what the definition of a man is, the role of a man. True, we know it's taking care of your family, doing the things that you need to do, but there's also consequences that come with however you decide to do that, right?
yeah,
And so a lot of
100%.
times you would find people going out and kind of doing, things that they probably shouldn't have been involved in, but it was things that they were doing because the rent had to be paid, the electric bill had to be paid, right? The kids needed to eat. I'm the oldest. My younger brothers need to eat, right? So I'm gonna go out
Yeah.
here and get this money and take care of the things I need to take care of. And then once you get locked up, what happens? You can't take care of the family no more. Mom get evicted, kids starve, and it's like, but sometimes we don't think about that. We have to have a better way of kind of Like I said, ooh, there's a lot
Yo,
that goes in there that oh my gosh, that I could talk about. But that's
yeah,
kind of that's the era I grew up. I grew up in the drug era, literally in the
yeah.
drug era. Like,
So it's funny you say that because I'm not gonna put my friend on blast. I'm not gonna say his name,
yeah, don't do
but
that. No, you
yeah,
tell
no,
me
no,
later.
no.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Look, hey, I'm gonna get a phone call. I'll be like, Chris, what you doing? Stop it.
Hey,
But
hey.
no, but one of my friends was doing some activities that he shouldn't have been doing, and what's kind of wild about doing such activities, like people don't realize how smart you have to be to do those activities. And the reason I say that because it's just like I remember talking to him like he was moving and we was like, oh cool, we was chilling on the floor. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, man, like the amount of like, and he's describing like everything. I was like, the amount of energy and like attention to details that you're putting in this right now, you could just start a business and you'd be good. Like, and like he looked at me, wow, just like, really? I was just like, bro, like, like the amount of
Like that's right.
details
You
you
could.
told me is just like, it's wild to me. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, like that's why I told him was like maybe nobody told you you could do that or do start a
Mm-hmm.
business. I don't even know what you're gonna start a business in, but I feel confident in whatever you start a business in, you're gonna be good. And
Right.
like it's wild because like you said, like just trying to get that in my mindset. I do believe like trying to expose people to like a different lifestyle.
Right.
Cause so to kind of give background, like my mom, single parent home, my mom raised me. I was fortunate. Like the three women I always like say in my life is like my my auntie, and my mom. So like one of the things I'll always give props for like my mom doing, she would like kind of like let me stay at like different like friends' house or different family
Mm-hmm.
members' house to kind of like get exposed to like a different lifestyle where it's just like, oh, I don't necessarily have to think like, oh, single parent lifestyle. I'm just gonna like stay in Swanee forever. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
go see the world. Hey, interact with different people outside like your culture and things like that. So like when I got that exposure, it taught me like, hey, there's a lot more similarity to differences. But then also B, just like when coming back to like some of my roots and like kind of hearing like some people's thought process, it's just like, oh, like she had a long-term vision of giving me that exposure because she was just like,
Mm.
hey, like I know you, like she always said like you're my child, you're not gonna do anything that I haven't done, like you're not gonna outdo
Like
me
I did it.
and come to doing things, but
Right.
let me at least put you in an environment to where, hey, you can, like you said, like instead of doing activities, hey, you can be a business owner. Hey, you can have
Right.
foresight for your future and things of
Right.
that nature. So like, have to give her like a whole lot of props to that.
Right. Right. You know what's so crazy about it? So one, props to your moms for that. Two, and what's so crazy is that some of those activities, some of those skills are transferable. That's the crazy part.
Very transferable.
So they definitely transferable, right? Like I couldn't do it because I was never really good at math. So ain't no way I'm trying to talk about how to cut up and how to slice and how to measure and how much it takes to
Yeah.
create. I wasn't good at math, so I'm like I failed geometry. So
I love
yeah,
it.
as soon as they start putting symbols in math, I was done. I was like, yeah, I don't know what any of that means. So I'm done. But those skills are transferable. But you're right, is that you do have the capacity to do something else with those skills versus doing whatever that is. Now, I'm not judging anybody. I just know because I've seen people do it. Like I said, I grew up in the drug era.
Yeah.
Crack was everywhere. I've seen it all, right? Seen it.
Yeah.
But there still is the ability to say, okay, how can I still take whatever's happening and use it for something that's good for myself and for my family? Okay. Now I want to stay on that too long because it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
All good.
but I appreciate the conversation and going down that path to talk about that. So let's switch gears and talk about some music. So I hear that there's an
Yes,
EP
sir.
somewhere coming out by some dude named Chris Taylor. So let's talk about
Yes,
the
sir.
EP. When can we expect it? What was your process behind creating it? And what message were you communicating to all your listeners through this EP?
Yeah. Ho ho. Story time. Cool.
Let's do it.
So, EP is called The Lost Compass, and it's actually coming out tomorrow, which is perfect. So, if you're listening, also first of all, appreciate y'all for listening, tuning into this great interview. And then, second of all, yeah, uh, The Lost Compass coming out on all streaming platforms, website, social media, all that good fun stuff. If you don't know, at dopechristaylor.com. But anyway, yeah. So The Lost Compass, the creation of it is wild because this project probably took 2 years in the making, and me and one of my great friends like we kind of linked up, and the way we kind of linked up was it was my birthday. I want to say 2020, and my brother was just like went to the great friend was like, hey, Chris raps, right? Hey, go make him some beats. And he was just like, oh, hey, my beats ain't good enough for Chris and yada yada. So like he was just like, no, just make him some beats. So then when he made me beats, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was just like, yo, he's way like his beats are way too good for me. And so like it was ironic. So it was just like, all right, cool. We started linking up and we started making like a whole bunch of songs. Like I think after like the first 10, 15 songs, like we kind of decided to like scrap everything because like it wasn't authentic. Like we was making hits, but like we kind of like, we had like a work relationship versus like, hey, let's kind of do this like based off friendship because that's like we're both givers. So it's like the more
Mm.
he give to me, like the more I would give to him. So like once we kind of like had that foundation and kind of like learn our like each other's like work process. Oh no, we became unstoppable. We did like another 10 to 15 and we kind of like narrowed it down to like four. And so like and the reason we kind of chose four because it's like all right, cool, cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. Each song sounds completely different from the other song. Like
Mm.
it just goes in a different directions where you might have like one that might be your quote unquote anthems, like yeah, to like one
Let's get
kind of
turned
be
up.
like yeah. Then you got your one that's like, all right, cool. Like I'm being like a little bit more vulnerable to like, hey, there's one where it's just like that braggadocious that we all kind of fell in
Hmm.
love with hip hop. Be like, yeah, but also kind of putting like a crisp spin to it where it's just like, yeah, like the amount of things that I kind of like work for. Like I will always tell people like I don't believe I'm talented, and not from like a negative standpoint, but more so like I don't believe I'm talented because I believe like, hey, whatever your heart desires, as long as you're putting the work and consistency behind it, you can achieve it. And I always tell myself that because cool, that just focus on like Chris, just get your verse a day. Cool. Make sure you practice your freestyling. Cool. Make sure you practice like creating this and that or try different things. And yeah, like I do believe hard work beats talent. Like now obviously we talk about like sports, that's a whole different thing. But just for the sake of this argument, yeah. So
No, yeah, I don't mean to
going
cut you off, brother. I don't mean to cut
yeah,
you
go
off,
for
but
it.
I think in everything, I think hard work beats talent in everything. If
Yeah, like
Okay, look. I don't know what type of TV shows you watch, right?
yeah.
But look at Naruto though. I mean, do you watch Naruto? You ever heard of this
Oh no,
Naruto
I love
show?
anime. Oh, we
Okay,
could
look. So look at Naruto, right? Naruto, he wasn't the most gifted. That boy put in work though.
nah.
Look at
Ooh,
Hokage, right? I mean, so use a Naruto example, but yo, I think that hard work will
bro, I literally
always
got like
be.
Naruto stickers right here. Like
Hey,
I'm in there.
look, hey,
Like
look at
I'm in
that.
there, sir.
Look, I think he will always see. I don't know how he even knew that you like Naruto, but I think, but hard. I mean, to me, when I think about hard work, even though it's a fictional character, that was an amazing demonstration of hard. Sasuke was talented.
Agreed.
Naruto had hard work, and we saw what his hard work was able to do over Sasuke's talent,
Yeah.
right?
Like
I think it.
it's
Okay, sorry, I don't mean to bring anime into it,
no, you're
but
good. You're good.
yeah, I think hard work will
Like
always be talent.
yeah, no questions asked about that. Cause and the reason I always tell people that, cause I tell people like, hey, like, no, inspire to chase your dreams. Like, do what you gotta do until you can do what you want to do. So
Mm,
like, yeah, shout out to moms.
yeah.
But
Shout out to moms.
shout out to moms. But yeah, like it's definitely one of those things where that like with that process, like just kind of like going back and forth with my boy Kyle and just like figuring out like, hey, what is our sound? And like
Mm-hmm.
once we kind of like, cause it's funny because we have two different backgrounds. So he'll listen to like a lot of like drill music from like Keith Chief days to like a lot of New York drills, and he'll put me on different stuff like that, like a lot of UK stuff. And I kind of came from like I said, like my uncle and like aunties, like they love like Luther, Michael,
Mm-hmm.
Lenny, all the like stylistics, like all them good cats. So like so growing up with that hip hop, but at the same time kind of growing up with that emotions too, like we kind of like combined where it's just like we didn't know how great we could be because it's like oh he got this like once kind of made each other space where we could like grow and kind of going back to
Mm-hmm.
the conversation where it's just like hey every sound has a purpose of composition. Oh, it was the dynamic duo happened like it was amazing like man like it was dope because yeah just watching it happen and just watch start getting to the feel of it yeah but all that being said, like once we spent 2 years working on our craft, we just got to a point where just like, yo, we feel comfortable like dropping something that's gonna change the atmosphere where it's just like, yeah, this is our sound. Like there's no confusion when you kind of hear like the style. Like when you hear like
Mm.
when you hear like a Rick Ross song, you hear the ugh, or like
Oh,
you can
Khaled.
tell like different artists. Yeah. So like
That's right.
yeah. But but yeah, like that's kind of cool part about it. So it's just like, or I think a great artist to use as far as like a musical point, like Pharrell. Like I don't know if people
Mm-hmm.
realize like Pharrell will always have like a four count, like don't don't, and then go into his beat. But
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, so like we started like we got our sound, and it's dope because it's like yeah,
Mm.
this is when you hear this. Oh, you got Chris and Kyle, and it's just like is the dynamic dude. Like I'll be the first to tell people like, hey, this project would not exist without him because a he believed in the vision and like we worked
Mm.
together. He just said, hey, Chris, I just want to give you the tools where you need to succeed, and I can't like I said like I always gotta give props to him whenever I can because yeah, like based off friendship, like it's weird to have a close friend you could work with on a professional level as well as maintain the friendship. Like it's a rarity.
Yeah.
I try to tell people that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a rarity, because sometimes something's going to seep in, and it may end up kind of causing some dissension within the ranks of brotherhood. And so I
Yeah.
think that's, yeah, I think it was interesting. You said, you started off with him kind of in that professional relationship. And then y'all were like, no, let's approach it like we're just friends. You give, I give, we build off each other. And it's just, I think there's a dynamic when it comes to that, right? Because, you said you already had made 15 songs, but sometimes chemistry isn't there during that
Oh
process.
yeah.
But when you both settled into who you were and what you both were able to give to each other, and magic happened.
It
And I,
was
and I think
it was
that's,
amazing.
yeah. And I think that's a point that people need to get to, which goes back to that whole conversation about beat makers versus producers, right? That, oh, I'm a producer because I think there's certain aspects that come with it, not to even bring this whole beat maker versus producer conversation back
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
forefront, because I know how everybody get with this conversation. But the one thing I have learned is that being a producer allows you to do exactly what you just said. It allows me to have
Man.
that connection, because if I'm a producer but I'm just selling beats on BeatStars and I never get a chance to meet this person at all, we never really have a chance to kind of collaborate at that level to create that depth of music that I as a producer want to create. And so that's why you hear a lot of producers say, find an artist, build with that artist, build your sound so that you can work cohesively and collectively with that person to even build your skill set as a producer, because that's what producers do. They work with other people to create the best music possible. That, yeah, I love it. Not to
100%.
bring not to bring that whole conversation back up, but there's,
No, it's good though.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
relevant. Like it's very relevant.
yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. So, in creating this album, You know, we all you kind of mentioned it, ups and downs. Uh, there's always going to be trials and tribulations with putting out music. There's going to be clashes between you and the person that you're working with. So how did you overcome some of those things working with your producer friend and kind of overcoming some of those situations?
Yeah, I think the one of the things that we kind of like lucked up in our favor is we kind of just over communicated. And I stress to people like, hey, communication is like the key to like make everything good. Like it's almost best to over communicate and then be like, oh, cool, hey, I know what you need from me. I know what to give you, and then vice versa. But that kind of like saved like a lot of the stuff where it's just like I know kind of like with previous people I worked with before, it's just like, hey, I might have like, hey, here's my time frame, or here's like the timeline I'm trying to like knock things out, but I may not communicate that on my part, or vice versa. Like, hey, I might reach out, be like, hey, where's this? I thought we agreed on this date, and I didn't know like they're dealing with personal issues. I think communication, like I will always tell people, like communication can solve a lot of problems offhand, and just also professionalism. Like, you know. Like if somebody's like, "Oh, hey, let's meet up at 7 o'clock," like don't show up at like 8:15 and be like,
That's
"Oh,
right.
why you mad at me?" Like it just goes like it always goes back
That's
to
right.
communication, man.
That's
Like
right.
I will give that to all my problems. Like if you can over communicate, you should be good. And tone, watch. People need to watch their tone
Mm.
because tones can maybe mistaken. Just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like I can say, "Oh, that's okay," or yeah, "Oh, that's okay." Like
That's right.
two of the same things.
That's
Then hey,
hey. Look, you talking to a person who teach communication, so trust me, I know, brother. I can get into a whole thing about communication and tone and intent and inflection and word choice. Oh, I can get
yeah,
into the whole thing. But I think communication is key. And I think, as you said, communication, well, I don't even want to think, I know communication can solve a multitude of issues that that people have if you just communicate effectively with one another. But that's the issue. People don't know how to communicate effectively with one another. We just
agreed.
talk and say stuff, but we don't know how to really communicate. And I'm gonna do a series, communication series. Maybe I need to do that. But
Please do,
yeah,
cause
yeah. No, I teach corporate business leaders from CEOs of companies to frontline on how to communicate effectively. See right now when I do these interviews, I'm not in my corporate training role, right? So I can sit here and
yeah,
be like, yeah, that's what's up. Hey, we getting into it. But oh
yeah.
yeah, no, when I'm really in that corporate world, yes, sir, it is a completely different beast. I may do that. Let me write that down. I may have to do
Hey,
that
I definitely.
communication. Yes, sir.
I can tell you off rip. I'm gonna tune into that because I
I may have
always
to
feel
do
like
it.
that's something that's you always can keep learning. Like it's not like, oh, I reached this level of communication, I'm good. Like the moment you stop
Yeah,
learning, it's over with. Like
it's over
forever a
with.
student.
That's right. That's right. Man, so let's kind of stay on the challenges. What challenges have you experienced in your music career, and how did you deal with those? I mean, I know we talked about communication, but just in your overall career itself, what did you learn from it, and two, how did you overcome it?
Oh, there's a few challenges actually. That's perfect. Uh, yeah. Let me start off with budgeting. I will be the first to say if people budget before they start a project, you will save so many heartaches and like headaches. Like I'll be the first to say like throughout my earlier like earlier projects stuff like that, I overspend like because I wasn't thinking about like oh instead of paying uh $150 for like studio time, I can just buy a microphone and like cool like learn how to record myself or like oh I need to get the mixes. Let me just go ahead and drop cash. Like no, budgeting will save a lot of headaches, heartaches, all that good fun stuff. Like that's one thing I had to learn because like cool when you cash out and you're just like, oh, I don't have any funds left for marketing or like pushing this out or things of that nature. Cool, yeah, it's gonna be really hard for like people or new fans to kind of like hear you. Like budgeting was definitely a learning experience as well. as well just like making au- making authentic social media content. And I think
Mm,
I think not even just like I'm still learning that process, but I would definitely say I think that's what a lot of artists are kind of like missing, where it's just like we don't necessarily need to like post just to be like, hey, let me post to see how to get as many likes as possible.
right.
Like you want to kind of show your fans like you almost have to step into a role of a fan. Like I ask myself like, hey, what do I want to see from my favorite artist? Like do I like to be like a music nerd. Like I like to see
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, cool. What was the reason why he made this song? Like what was the setting behind this? Or like what was the inspiration behind this
Right.
album name or different things like that. And I almost kind of have to reverse engineer that to my social media posts, which just like, oh,
Mm,
cool. Like I like I said, I'm in one of the things I'm into is like boxing. I'm trying to get better at it. So like I feel like, oh, if I knew like I know J. Cole was into kickboxing as well, just like, being a basketball
mm-hmm.
player, like different things like that, where it's just like trying to provide that authentic social media content versus like, oh, I'm gonna post a picture of like me in the studio. I'm just gonna dedicate everything on social media about the music, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but if you try to approach it like, hey, everything is just music, everything's just music,
Mm-hmm.
it's people may confuse that for just like, oh, you're pushing a product versus like, hey, I'm trying to get to know you as an artist. Like
Right.
like I feel like we all want to know our favorite artists versus like, oh, here's a song, see you later. Here's a song, see you later.
Right.
Like
Right.
that was another learning experience that I had to like learn where it's just like I can keep going with all my mistakes, but I feel like it's great though. No, but that's the cool thing about it because I feel like I tell people like, hey, I made a whole lot of mistakes.
Hey, we all
Let
make
me
them.
at least save, let me
We
save you
all
the
make them.
trouble, and yeah, just learn about my mistakes.
That's right.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, but I think those two things are important. Marketing, or let me go back, budgeting, so that you can market. That's always
yeah,
a good thing. But budgeting, really thinking about where are your expenses, and really mapping out those expenses, and then being able to say, okay, based upon these expenses, what can I do to maybe minimize some of these expenses? Now, I mean, any artist, you don't need to pay for beats, but beats are an expense. Buy them, okay?
yeah,
And I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the other ones.
yeah,
Buy
yeah, yeah,
beats.
yeah.
Like y'all buying everything else. Buy your
Like
beat.
literally,
You know what I'm saying?
like,
Can
hey,
all
don't be that guy
can
that
all
rips
producers
stuff off
please get
YouTube.
paid? Right.
Look, hey, this is I'll be the first to tell people like, yeah,
Buy your
nobody wants to
beats.
hear the producer tag because hey, like I try to tell people like, oh, there's one more. Can I add one more
Oh,
lesson I learned in this journey?
man, of course.
So if there's one lesson I really say that definitely made a huge impact is learn like don't necessarily go find a team, but you can't do everything by yourself. Like, and I think that's one thing I would say with one of my first projects. I tried to do everything. I was just like, cool, I'm gonna do the mixing, and I'm gonna do the mastering and recording and this and that and yada
Mm-hmm.
yada. And like I crossed the finish line. Like, could have been better. Yeah, it could have been better because like, hey, I didn't have to spread myself so thin. I
Right.
think when you kind of like find people aligning up, align with the same vision, as well to make sure I take care of people. Like I just want to like say that on the
Mm-hmm.
record because I think people often kind of forget, just like, oh, well, I'm giving them exposure or clout. It's just like, no, I can't live off clout. No,
Exposure.
like
Can live off
clout don't pay
exposure.
bills.
Right.
Georgia Power do not care for clout.
Hey, how much clout
Like,
you got today? How
oh,
much exposure do you have in your exposure account? No.
yeah, like no, like treat people right because like I would definitely be this person to say like if you give more than somebody expect, they're always gonna look out for you, and that's the thing where I
That's
think
right.
a lot of people or some up and coming people in music kind of forget that where it's just like oh everything's like transactional. No,
Mm-hmm.
like you're here to build relationships. You're not gonna go to like perfect example like you're not gonna go to somebody that's like oh I want this person to be my wife. You're not gonna just be like hey come marry me and you haven't even say anything to them. No,
Right.
you're gonna first hopefully ask their name,
Well, I don't know. Maybe
ask how
some.
they're doing.
Never mind.
I can't wait to see the comments. It's just
Hey,
like, come
it is
here.
what it is. Yeah, you.
I
I take
love it.
you as my wife. What you gonna do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man,
that don't
hey,
happen
I'll
in
be real
America.
though.
I'm gonna tell you that it ain't in America that happened. But
Well, hey.
woo,
Oh,
cause
I
yeah,
hope two of my friends are looking at this so I can reference this back. Oh, I love it.
right. Woo,
We'll talk
cause
about this.
yeah,
Look, we're going to talk about this interview tomorrow. I already know. I'm hyping it
yeah,
up.
'cause they ain't gonna do that in America. But
Yeah.
no, I mean I think I think right. Oh man, that's awesome.
Come
That's
here.
awesome. Come over
Get
here.
over here.
You admit it to me now. Like what? Like yes. What you going to? Never
Oh,
mind.
I
Let
love
me
it.
stop. Let me stop before I have some people
Nasty.
before I have some people calling me. Hey, heard what you said in that interview.
Oh,
Like, hey, my bad.
I
But
love it.
but yeah.
I
So
love it.
a couple of things I'm gonna build off of that as we get ready to wind down our time here. Man, like I said, I love these interviews. I love the conversation. It's natural. I mean, we just gel. So yes, you got a budget. You have to budget. I mean, how many people go into whatever they're doing not counting the cost? Like I don't get that. You got to count the cost. You got to know how much it's going to cost you to do whatever you're going to do. And whatever you go however much money you're going to spend, half of that needs to be in marketing. So
True.
if you're going to
Very
spend
true.
10 if you're going to spend 10 grand, 5 goes to marketing, 5 goes to everything else. Creation of the album, paying producers, 5 goes to marketing. Like you want people to hear it.
No questions asked.
DMing me and my Instagram does not work. I do not. As soon as I see it, delete. I'm deleting it. You don't have a
That
DM
professionalism, man.
marketing strategy. Stop doing that. Okay, like that's not a marketing strategy. But anyway, but I think that's critically important, having a budget, and you definitely cannot do it by yourself. Find people, like Chris has been saying, find people that complement what you do, right? And that can help build what you do. Find people who have the same energy that you do and want to see you be successful, and then praise them, kind of, give them pats on the back, thank them for the job that they're doing. Yes. And here's the crazy part about all of this, Chris, is that after we do our interview today, I'm going to sit in this room and I have another video to record. And in this video, we're going to talk about all that. Literally, almost, that's something like, oh, yeah. I'm going to do a review on my man Jay Hatch's book, How I Left the Music Industry. Was it How I Left the Music Industry? Jay Hatch, what's your book called, man? Yeah, How I Left My Job. I'm looking at the book over here. How I Left My Job and Made It in the Music Industry. And so I'm going to do a whole review on that. And in that, he talks about some of those things. So I'm going to sit over here in my little corner and make this video after this interview. But yeah, man, those are the critical things that I would ask what advice you were going to give people, but that's it.
Hey, treat people the way you want to be treated. Treat people. Oh, I heard this last saying. Treat celebrities like normal people. Treat normal people like celebrities.
Like celebrities.
Boom.
Yep. That's
Like you won't go wrong.
You won't go wrong. You won't go wrong because celebrities want to be treated as normal people. Well, I think some of them do. There's some that I've seen that don't.
Hey,
They.
I feel you.
And I think we give them too much. Never mind.
No, look, hey, I can't drop names out here.
I could. I want to so bad because why y'all? Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. You figure
I
out how to
already see
spell
my
it.
phone blowing up, just like not today's thing. You can't catch me slipping.
Right. So let me make sure I'm cool because that's one thing Jay Hatch talks about in his book too. But I'm not gonna drop names, but we know. You know what I'm saying? Like. But
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we know. But man, Chris, it's been awesome. I didn't tell everybody how we kind of met. Most people that I interview, I kind of have some type of relationship with in some type of way. But for those who know, and me and Chris were talking about this earlier, we met at an ASCAP holiday party, like right before COVID hit. And it was a great holiday party. Jason. What's Jason's last name?
I think Redrick. Is it Redrick? Or
Is it Red? Oh, Jason
I
Reddick.
want to
Yeah, Jason
Reddick.
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 Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. At ASCAP had invited us to come to the holiday party, and we were like, I was like, bet I rolled through. I brought the artist I was managing at the time, and I happened to meet Chris there. We got into a conversation. I was like, man, there's no pun intended, but I was like, yo, that's dope. I love what you're doing. Let's stay connected. And we did. Now it's taken us almost 2 years to get him on the show, but it is what it is. I'm glad that we're here now to talk about, all things Chris. And so, man, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I appreciate the conversation. And I'm looking forward to the EP dropping tomorrow. Please make sure y'all can get it. Please tell people where they can find it so that they can be tuned in to go listen to it.
Yeah. You can find the EP at all social media platforms at Dope Chris Taylor, or go to the website www.dopechristaylor.com. And I can't stress how much I appreciate this interview, B. Like, this was 2 years in the making, but at the same time, like, I feel like this was well worth the wait, because this natural conversation, like, is wild. And yeah, like, it's human. Like,
It's human.
I wish people like realize that, like, it's real love. Like, so I appreciate you, my man.
Man, I appreciate you too, man. So once again, make sure y'all follow him at Dope Chris Taylor, and check out his music, blow up the EP. And man, I'm just excited for what's happening for you, especially after tomorrow when the EP drops.
Hey, it's gonna be good, man.
That's right. Hey, that's right. North, south, east, west.
Down south, east, west. Oh,
Right,
man,
but
I love it.
now you gotta come up with an album with the what are those types of directions called when it's like northwest and southwest and southeast
Oh,
and
like
northeast? What are those? That's the
I forget.
because we got the cardinal
I forgot the
directions,
name of it.
and then those are the basic ones, but then whatever those are called. I don't know anybody in
I'm gonna have to look at
in the chat know, because yeah, I'm
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look this up
I
now.
wasn't a cartographer, so I don't know. I don't make maps.
Hey, you and me
But-
both. We're in the same boat. Look, hey, lost in the sauce right now.
Lost in the sauce. But man, stick around for just a moment where I close this out. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, man, once again, we had a great, that's why I love doing these interviews, because it's just so, like Chris said, it's so human, right? These are not your typical interviews where I just sit and read questions from a sheet. I'm building upon everything that we talk about, and I love doing that. And so, if you're interested in being a guest here on We Create Music TV, you can go right over to our website, www.wecreatemusic.tv, click on schedule your interview, and take a moment to schedule your interview, right? So if you're interested, make sure you go ahead and do that today. But thank you for tuning in. Once again, you can catch our interview series every Monday and every Thursday at 7 p.m. And you can also catch our other videos that we drop throughout the week on Thursday at 2 p.m. There's a video going up every Thursday at 2 p.m. for the rest of the year. So stay tuned. We got all types of content coming to you from We Create Music TV. We got some panels that are planned for this year, 4 of them that I'm working on to bring you some great content for the music creators. So, I got a post that I'm going to post up that We Create Music TV is supportable. We are supportable, and we appreciate your support to support us and what we are doing as we support you in your efforts as music creators. But enough of that. Thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. Peace.